welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf. That's the Hall of Famer Chris Carter. That's Nick Wright. Hey, guys.
Good. Hi, Jenna. How are you?
I'm good.
We got to all hang out together last night.
It was fun.
Not watching sports.
I
which
like
is something
socializing with you
we haven't
guys.
done outside of work in quite some time. Hang out when there was not a sporting event involved. There's
Instead, there was
fronts,
a wet carpet.
Fox up fronts involved. CC was very popular amongst the celebrity crowd, which is good to see.
It was a good night.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good night.
It was
great game last night.
Great game. A lot of fun last night.
We had a good time. I actually was able to streamline right into the game from being social with you guys. So I got to do the best of everything. Watch sports and hang out and tell fun jokes with you, Nick. It was
Jenna's off-air humor, if you can believe this, almost as good as her on-air humor. I'll let the audience figure out what that means exactly.
No, they know. Just like that, the Houston Rockets' home court advantage went poof.
Just like that.
Game one of the Western Conference Finals last night, Rockets and Warriors. We wanted a good fight. We got a good fight until the Rockets stopped fighting. James Harden was awesome on offense, scoring 41 points, but the Warriors were more awesome on offense. They beat the Rockets 119 to 106. So Kevin Durant was the difference in this game, 37 points and what felt like 200 mid-range buckets. How good was KD? Here's his head coach, Steve Kerr.
Kevin is the ultimate luxury because a play can break down and you just throw him the ball and he can get you a bucket as well as anybody on earth. So Kevin, you know, this is why this is why anybody would want him on their team. But you think about a couple of years ago and we're in the finals and we couldn't quite get over the hump. You know, Kevin's the guy who puts you over the hump and I don't know what you do to guard him. He can get any shot he wants.
I mean, I don't know if we're at our peak. I think we could be better. I mean, the stakes are high. I mean, we playing the Western Conference Finals against the best team in the league, number one seed, and MVP on their team. So, I mean, I think everybody just wants to enjoy this time hooping. Not a lot of people get this opportunity, so we want to take advantage of it. You can tell everybody is just very excited to be here.
So I think everyone thought this was going to go one of two ways. Either the Warriors were going to be the Warriors that we knew they could be and just absolutely dominate, or the Rockets were just going to come out, take advantage of being at home, and do the same thing. And it turned out it was the Warriors. CeCe, how do you think they were able to just absolutely own the Rockets last night?
Well, it was a very entertaining game. I wouldn't go as far as to say that they owned the Rockets last night, but this was what Golden State can do. They come at you in waves. You could see even when Houston scored, you didn't have time to celebrate because Golden State pushes it back down to the other end, and they will take a shot within the first 5 seconds on the shot clock. But what I thought was the difference in the game was Golden State's ability to be an elite defensive team. We never give them credit because they have all the names, they have all the shooters, all the scorers, they have Draymond as a personality, Steve Kerr as a coach, which we never give any type of credit to. But defensively, to me, they're the best defense in the league. And the reason why is because not only because the threat they put on you offensively, but they can, because of their overall length, they can shut you down. We saw within the first 18 minutes of the game, 3 times Houston shot clock violations, and many other times where they were pressed against the clock to try to get a good shot.
To your point there, CC, 19 times the Rockets got their shot off in the final 5 seconds of the shot clock. I know you had brought up before the show about the shot clock violations, so I dug into it a little more.
Yes.
3 actual violations, another 19 possessions where you're up against the shot clock.
Right, so we talk about a Houston offense, one of the most efficient in NBA history, now rushing to try to run their offense. I thought they became too one-dimensional with the high pick and roll, was letting Harden being the dominant ball handler. I thought they were easier to defend compared to moving the ball, which we had seen them do since they had added Chris Paul to the lineup. But ultimately, Kevin Durant picked up right where he was last year at the NBA Finals, where he was the MVP. He let people know the reason why. And he talked about it in his interview afterward. Kevin Durant is not about the drama. He's about hooping. And this Golden State team, for the first time going on the road to start a series, you could see that their focus was there. But there is no answer for Kevin Durant in the NBA. Like the coach said, Steve Kerr, he said, as far as offensive player, you want a guy who can get you a bucket better than anyone on the planet, it's Kevin Durant. And that's what we saw last night, and that's the reason, the difference between Golden State and the Houston Rockets.
And when Kevin Durant is only asked to get you buckets, I don't know what you're supposed to do. Through 3 quarters, Kevin Durant had this stat line: 30 points, 1 rebound, 0 assists. Now, KD was very good defensively. He was part of the entire Warrior crew.
Yeah, and the reason why he didn't get a lot of rebounds was because he was playing on the perimeter, and there wasn't a lot of long rebounds, compared to what he normally gets, 7 to 9 rebounds a game.
Right, but the Warriors have the ultimate luxury, which is they can ask one of the all-time great shot makers in NBA history, a guy who we talked about the interview we did with Bill Simmons, where he said, he talked about him versus LeBron. He said, LeBron spends a lot of time working on his body. I spend time working on my game. I want to be able to make every shot on the court. And if you look at his shot chart last night, that's what he did. Every quadrant of the court he scored from. Close middle, medium middle, far middle. Everywhere on the court he scored from. And when you have talent around him that denies your ability to send a double team at him, you just have to hope he misses. Like, there is no answer for it. If you could double him, you could still get the shot over the double team, but at least you would have a better chance. You can't double anyone on Golden State. And so when you add to that, Trevor Ariza, who was the defender who had the most success on him, got in early foul trouble, and then Andre Iguodala did something brilliant when they left Ariza with 4. The next time down the court, went right at him, so Ariza picked up his 5th. Then all of a sudden, the Rockets are just hoping KD misses. And then you add to that Cece's point, which is not only this great team defense, but the guy that I believe over the last 4 years has been the single best defender in the NBA, Draymond Green, who was not worried about anything but defense. You have a team that steals home court advantage from a great basketball team, and a team that drastically changes how anyone who picked the Rockets, myself included, feels about this series.
Talking about Kevin Durant, he's a 7-footer who has the ball handling skills of a point guard and the mid-range jumper, which you saw a million of last night, of a shooting guard, and then goes out in the press conference and says, oh, we haven't reached our peak yet. We still have so much more to do. Did you feel that way watching this game last night? Did you feel that there was another level that they could take this game to last night?
I mean, that's just a common answer. I mean, because the game was highly contested. They weren't lights out. Steph didn't play great. I mean, if you look at it, one of the reasons why Houston couldn't win was they couldn't force the ball out of the big three's hand. They took 75% of the shots. Clay, KD, and Steph, 75% of the shots. If you give the Warriors those 75% of the Warriors shots, they're going to beat you. Unless they just have a complete, totally off night.
That's the most Big Three have taken in any game all year, to Cece's point. That's the highest percentage of any shots the Big Three have taken for the Warriors in a single game all year.
Yeah, so if you don't do that, if you don't find another way for to force the ball in the other player's hands, it's going to be difficult. But you can't forget, this is a Warriors team that has been amazing. This is the last year in a 4-year stretch that they have been amazing. This didn't start last night, but their focus going on the road against a 65-win team, you could see why they've won these championships. Draymond, Iggy, they bring in the center to start the game. Mooney was a huge substitution, bringing him in. So in the pick and roll, he's far more athletic, something you had talked about yesterday, utilizing him. It was an exciting game to watch because this is the best the NBA has to offer. And to me, this is the NBA Finals.
Well, and this is right now this Warriors team, if they continue this going after what they did last year, a team that is now 25-3 in the playoffs since they added Kevin Durant. You're going to talk about them not just as the best the NBA has to offer this year, but ever. This is a Warriors team that has never lost. The Warriors 2.0, the Warriors with Kevin Durant, they have never lost a game 1 in a playoff series. They have never lost a game 2 in a playoff series. They have never been forced more than 5 games in a playoff series. This was a critical opportunity for Houston. At halftime, you thought, okay, like they got a shot. And that Warriors third quarter wave, they ended up having a 13-point lead with a few minutes left in the third quarter. Houston cut into it a little bit. They weren't able to do enough. And that's with Harden scoring 40-plus and with Steph Curry having the fewest points he's ever scored in a conference finals game. That's all bad news for Houston.
We will talk about this from Houston's point of view coming up. But on the other side, is Game 2 a must-win now for LeBron?